Welcome back to the Morning Blend. 50 years ago today, Dickey Chapelle became the first female war correspondent to be killed in action. When she died on a U.S. Marine patrol in Vietnam is when it happened. And author John Garofolo shares Chapelle's remarkable story in a new book from the Wisconsin Historical Press.
Dickey Chapelle Under Fire chronicles her life and work, revealing images she chose to focus her camera on. We're here now with John on this very important day, and we're going to be showing a few of her photos in just a few moments. We want to extend a warning to our viewers that some of these pictures are graphic. They may be disturbing, so if there are small kids, you can pop the channel, whatever you need to do.
No, don't change the channel. Just
talk
put them somewhere else.
Yeah,
for a
there
little
you
bit.
go.
Just kidding.
Good to have you here, John.
Well, it's great to be here. Thank you very much.
Great to see you.
Talk a little bit about the importance of who Dickey Chapelle was and why we should celebrate her.
Well, we're a nation that celebrates first, right? And Dickey Chapelle was the first American female war correspondent killed in action. And she had already covered wars for more than 23 years by the time she had gotten to Vietnam. And so essentially, we've kind of forgotten about her. And I think that's just really tragic. And so I really felt that it's important to let people know about her great life and work. And considering the fact that at the time that she was killed in Vietnam, it was still rare for women to be covering wars.
And how was she killed? What happened?
She was on a patrol with the Marines in an operation called Black Ferret, and she typically liked to position herself behind the first person on any type of squad or patrol movement, which is usually called the person on point. So on that particular day, which was just 7:58 in the morning, they were leaving a perimeter that they had established to move out on the patrol, and the Marine on point tripped a booby trap, which was a grenade and mortar combination that sprayed shrapnel and hit 7 people, 6 Marines and Dickey Chapelle.
Okay.
You know, when we think about like that time of era, women didn't do this sort of thing. They didn't go out and become a war photographer. And she's from the Shorewood area. So what do you think inspired her? What made her be that first woman to do such a thing?
Well, I think that it had to do with her upbringing, first of all, in Shorewood. Her parents were pacifists, and so she was raised to believe that war was morally wrong, but she also had an extended family that lived with her, and so they were fairly permissive. Not necessarily, I think, her parents, but the aunts and uncles and grandparents that were there. And so she really was raised with the idea that anything is possible. And so, you know, really, she was, I think, a trailblazer in the regard that, or in the sense that she felt that if she could do it, there was no reason that she shouldn't be allowed to do something.
There's some really great pictures, some from Vietnam, some of wounded soldiers. We mentioned that some of the pictures are disturbing, some of a fallen Marine, then a shot of her before she was imprisoned, because she was actually imprisoned in what city?
She was in Hungary, in Budapest.
Hungary, yeah. Okay. One of the things I found fascinating in your notes is that she wrote an autobiography, and it hit key points in her life, in your opinion, but you doubt it's completely truthful. Why is that? Was she not truthful about things that happened, or more about her own experience there?
Well, everything that was there was factually correct as far as events. I think that the way that she characterized some of the events may not necessarily have been correct. And I think that a lot of it had to do with the fact that she really wanted to continue as a war correspondent. And certainly when she was in that prison in Budapest, it was not exactly a fun time. And so I think that she tended to minimize the extremity of some of the situations that she found herself in.
Oh, she tended to minimize,
yeah,
not exaggerate.
Oh, no. She didn't exaggerate anything as far as the facts. I think that she tended to downplay some of her involvement in some of these things.
After writing about her and learning so much about her, what do you find most fascinating or most inspiring about her?
Well, there's multiple things about Dickey that I find are particularly noteworthy as far as her character is concerned, but I think that her perseverance is something that is really extraordinary, because it wasn't easy for her to do her job. She had to work really hard. There were a number of places during the course of her career where it was not very difficult for her to continue on as a reporter, but yet she continued to do so. And she was not welcomed in every place that she showed up. Usually she didn't show up and say, "Oh my God, thank God there's a woman here."
Yeah, right.
Right. What about her personal life? Was she married? Did she have children? Did she, I mean, was she just very, not obsessed, but was war photography and all of that, was that really the thing she concentrated most on?
Actually, she was married. She had no children, and she was very, very focused on her career, which is probably why there were no children. Being an overseas reporter is not necessarily conducive to having a family. But her husband was a photographer. In fact, he's the one that taught her photography. And so once she learned photography, she was very, very dedicated to learning that, and became very proficient at it. So she did both write and take pictures, of course. But in this particular case, I thought her photography was the missing link in the Dickey Chapelle story.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Really fascinating book. How many
Beautiful.
photographs are in your book?
There's about 160, I believe.
Okay.
I kind of lost
So you
count.
get a really nice flavor for the type of pictures that she took, which I think is great.
Beautiful.
Some really close shots, too, which I think is extraordinary.
Mm-hmm.
But tomorrow, people have the opportunity to meet you at this book event. It's happening tomorrow at 7 p.m. It's at the Shorewood Village Center. It's great that you're having that event in her hometown.
Yeah.
She's a native of Shorewood. It's located on 3920 North Murray, again, tomorrow night at 7 p.m. And people will be able to buy your book at that time as well?
Yeah, and if they'd like me to sign, I'd be happy to sign it. So
That's great.
That's awesome. Really
for being
interesting
here.
story. Thank you so much for joining
Well,
us.
thanks for the opportunity to be here. I appreciate it. It was nice meeting you.
Absolutely. Nice
You
meeting
too.
you too.